I'm having a little bit of a challenge right now because my husband has decided to be a thief and steal the video game series that I wanted to play. No, I had to get all the games for me because I wanted to try a new IP that was a little bit different than my norm. And I bought him all kinds of games. It's not like he had a backlog of nothing to play, but apparently the moment he gets the shiny new game series in front of him, he's like, hey, I want to play Yakuza, and I want to play it while you're trying to finish the game you're playing. And just so you're aware, because I'm going to be playing a game you want to play, you need to stay out of certain rooms of the house when I'm playing it because of spoilers. And not only that, he's decided to do a review on the game I want to play, so there's spoilers, and then he also knows all of our friends who have played the games will also share spoilers. I have no choice in this world but to be inundated with facts about a game that I want to play. But did he understand this and respect the fact that I wanted to play it before him? No! He decided I'm just going to continue playing. And not only am I going to continue with 0, I'm going to continue with all of the games and make it so you know everything that's still going on. I love and hate my husband at the same time.
What's up everyone, I'm the Kaiju no Kami, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a video game I just played because I just got into the franchise, Yakuza 0. For those not in the know, Yakuza is a game series that kicked off back in 2005 on the PlayStation 2 about a man named Kiryu Kazuma who is a member of the Yakuza, or Japanese Mafia. While I did have a mild interest in the franchise back when I first read about it in my issues of PSM Magazine and Game Informer, I never actually took the plunge into it despite it being hailed by many as Shenmue but good. Recently, Cruellica took an interest in the franchise thanks to our friends Advent Nebula and Elizabunny, who highlighted some of the games in a gamification video she did.
I hate talking on the phone. It's crippling, especially when sometimes I occasionally do have to do this for my job. Then I played Yakuza 0. This is how I answer the phone now, and I make no apologies.
Thus, we ended up picking them all up.
Kaiju, sorry to interrupt your review, but you forgot about Judgment.
At least let me get through the main games before I deal with the side stories. Jesus Christ, people. And since we picked them up, I finally said, why the hell not, and dived right into Yakuza 0. To say I had a blast with this game is an understatement. For the last 2 weeks, I was practically eating, drinking, sleeping Yakuza 0 due to how much fun it was. The game is set in 1988 and features 2 protagonists. A younger Kiryu, who is 20, 3 years after he had become a member of the Yakuza, and a disgraced Yakuza, the 24-year-old Goro Majima. I won't go deep into the story, as it's best left experiencing firsthand, but to say these characters and their narrative was incredible is an understatement.
酒買うてきてくれるか。せっかくの来客やん。酒頼むで。わかりました。ちょっと待っとってください。
So that just happened.
The game is broken up into 17 chapters, with every 2 chapters having you switch between characters to play events that are happening across 2 different neighborhoods at the same time in Tokyo and Osaka, with the final chapter converging the duo. Initially, I found myself loving Majima far more than Kiryu right at the start of his chapter, only for that decision to have gotten harder as the game's story had progressed, as both characters each have a moving narrative that makes them equally compelling. The game is also loaded with a lot of "oh shit" moments you never saw coming. However, Yakuza 0 goes beyond just its narrative narrative is we have a partially open world with a lot of lively side quests, characters, and activities to play through. While there were a couple of side quests I found a tad tedious, the vast majority of them were exciting to play through due to how intriguing the characters or the story was. For example, there is one mission that deals with a child getting his newest video game purchase stolen by a dude who gets robbed by some other dude, only for that dude to get it stolen at the hands of another dude. It was absolutely absurd, and I couldn't help but laugh at its ridiculousness.
Yeah.
I also ended up having to help teach a dominatrix how to be domineering, along with meeting with some guy who was running around in his underwear.
What the hell is that?
Oh, and there's one that is clearly a homage to Ring with a haunted videotape, along with a mission dealing with a totally not Steven Spielberg and positively not Michael Jackson. Alternatively, the activities vary in all directions, as some of them can be quite fun, such as bowling, darts, and even pool,
which is way better than how Rockstar has done it in the GTA series,
to being an utter nightmare to play. This included a phone dating game that plays similarly to that of the Danganronpa games, some of the outdated arcade games situated in the Sega arcade shop,
seriously, Outrun,
to the god-awful karaoke. There is a reason I could never get into Guitar Hero and the like. The worst of them all is that goddamn piece of utter white bull disco dancing.
like with Outrun, dancing. Whoever came up with that idea for this game needs to be snuffed out of existence.
Not one dance battle went well at all.
You suck at this.
The finest side quests have to go to a real estate sequence in Kyoto's portion of the game while Majima builds up a cabaret hostess club. I had a blast just earning more money and buying more businesses to upgrade and repeating the process over again, while sometimes having to beat the crap out of a bunch of goons for an area I hadn't fully conquered yet. Then getting to pummel the area's top dog into the ground was equally satisfying.
Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret.
As for Majima's portion, I really liked getting to recruit a bunch of girls to his team that you could then customize to look however you wanted, as seen here.
Nope, I wasn't trying to create a Super Sentai hostess team, now was I? No? Not me.
I will admit though, after a while the cabaret club stuff did start to wear thin on me, as unlike with Kiro's real estate business, you can't just leave the game sitting there while doing something else in the process and still make money. Regardless, I was impressed Sega did not just make Majima's side activity identical to Kiro's as other developers would have done, just with a different character. The variety was nice. The cabaret battles you had to have with an opposing club were kind of annoying thanks to the heads being able to royally screw you over, like one who had the ability to just wipe out my tables with a special move that I couldn't defend against at all. Fortunately, my club had 4 times as many fans as that guy's did, so I still wiped his cheating bitch ass across the floor. Speaking of Kiryu and Majima having a variety of activities, even their combat styles differ. Each character obtains 4 different styles throughout the game, which all have their own positives and negatives. Kiryu starts the game with Brawler, which relies on a lot of basic attacks from punching, kicking, and grappling. His other attacks include Rush, which focuses on quick dodges and punches. Beastyle relies on picking up random objects to trounce your opponents with, while his final style, Dragon of Dojima, feels like a combination of the former two, for it has the same type of combos as the Brawler style with the quickness of Rush. It ended up being my default choice once I acquired it, especially since I was not a fan of the Beast style at all. As for Majima, his thug style is reminiscent of Kiryu's Brawler, only to get more advanced as you acquire more abilities for it as you progress through the game. Next up is a stance that sees Majima bashing his enemies with a baseball bat known as Brawler style. Well, my favorite of his is Breaker, which is basically kicking all kinds of ass with dance moves. Breaker is most certainly effective when surrounded by enemies, though be wary, it doesn't do very well on boss fights. Finally, there is Mad Dog of Shimano, which has him wielding a knife, and while he is super quick in this position, he's also hard to control, as I often found myself jumping around the fighting field rather than actually hitting my opponents. It's powerful when you can land an attack, however, sometimes it just isn't worth the hassle. One last aspect with the combat is that you have a trio of bars that build up over time the more hits you perform on an enemy that allows you to employ an array of special moves. There is a large diversity of how they activate, whether or not you are holding a garbage can, an ashtray, a bike, or whatever is in your vicinity. My favorite ones are when Kiryu will slam a car door into a dude's skull, while Majima will kick an enemy off of a rooftop. Oddly enough though, neither character kills, so seeing them do this causes some immense awkward hilarity after the battle has come to an end, and you see the goon laying on the ground recovering from his fight.
Peaceful.
Very peaceful.
The highlight of the game for me though comes in this one scenario where you run past an indoor pond.
Like, what? Were these guys just like hiding underwater, holding their breaths the entire time, waiting for Majima to enter this room?
It also happens again after you beat the initial batch and walk to the other side. Lastly, the music and graphics are equally good. I adore how the music changes with each fighting style. And some of the best music comes from a lot of the story-driven moments, specifically with the final boss battle, which has music that is just downright epic. As for the graphics, they may not be on the same level as Red Dead Redemption 2, nevertheless, they are solid all around.
Overall, it may not be a perfect game, but I had an absolute blast with Yakuza 0. It was such a fun time. It's easily one of PlayStation 4's finest games out there. It's one of the games I've had the most fun with in a long time. I haven't wanted to play a game over non-stop, or at least non-stop every day since Resident Evil 2's remake came out. That's how much I enjoyed this. If you've been curious about the Yakuza series but haven't really jumped into it, now's the perfect time considering the whole Kiryu saga is on one console. I cannot wait to jump into the remake to the first game, as I want to see how this story continues. Until next time, bye. Thus, we ended up picking them all up.